I wanted to comment on a couple of points that John made. First of all, there's no doubt that purpose matters, okay? And I think fundamentally, innovation is about improving lives. And at my company, that's really what motivates the innovators, okay? Point number one.
So you took the Edison point, I want to be of a service and I'll get rewarded for the service.
Listen, in 2000, we think we were serving about 2 billion consumers around the world. Today, we think we're serving about 4 billion. This was a little American company founded by a Northern Irishman and an Englishman in 1837. Today, 65% of our sales are outside the U.S. Most of our innovation centers are outside the U.S. Most of our innovators carry a passport the majority carry a passport that's other than a U.S. passport. So that's the second point I wanted to make, John. I'm not sure the national thing matters. I sort of agree with the point you made in your opening comment that it's really it's a global process. I can't think of a project we're working on that's truly national.
Could America's role within the international process used to be bigger than it is today, or no? Is that
well,
not
I think it can be bigger if we are the partner of preference. If we're the innovation partner of preference, if we are a connector, if we are associated with, if we're helping Abu Dhabi, okay, become a model for government innovation, if we're helping, Nokia, we work with Nokia in Finland, achieve the Finnish dream, then I think that elevates what we're doing, and I think that's kind of like what MIT does, right, Susan?
I want to bring Tony in. Let's just say you get a call tomorrow, and it's the White House, and it's the president says, come on and tell me what I can do. I got all this talk about innovation and getting America to move forward. What's the strategy you give him?
Well, I happen to have one. So
well, you do have one.
I happen to have one, right. So
good, in my back
been
pocket.
Thinking about this. So what we've been able to do is to innovate the innovation process and have very good success rates. So given that that's happened and that's a possibility, what I would suggest is a few minor changes. Right now, the United States government has a grant program through universities, and they let the professors and others do research. Most of that research is untapped, and because most of that research is actually focused on non-marketable, non-commercializable type of activities. Because the government has one thing wrong, just as many companies do. They're focused on the wrong markets. So if you could bear with me for a second, if you could imagine that we could, as a nation, pick out what the emerging markets are of the world, a $5 billion industry here, a $20 billion industry there, and just do this in mass scale because we build this excellence in market selection. We could pick these markets, focus people within the U.S. and the universities on creating items, technologies of value, and then when they create them of value, put them through our venture system. Our venture system has an 11% success rate. That's not very good.
No.
But if you can make that a 70 or 80% success rate, the infrastructure's there. I think the one thing that's missing is that we're not focused on a great set of markets. I'll give you one example. So there's no product that exists today for parents to pass on life lessons to children.
Just have a more...
For parents to pass on life lessons to their children.
Life lessons,
it's very ad hoc. We try to teach our children things every day. And you could say, well, there might be books or this and that, but there's really no great solution that involves technology or software or tool sets like that. But we can size that market right now, worldwide. We know there's parents that exist.
You mean, you think there may be some correlation in an American parent, or a Chinese parent, or an Indian parent?
Right. Think of setting up an infrastructure, a set of plumbing that allows parents to pass on lessons to their children, regardless of what the lesson is. It could be a lesson that someone wants to pass on in France or in China or here. But if you could create that system or that infrastructure, that business would be a multi-billion-dollar market.
So you're actually saying, don't think of sitting there in the garret inventing something. Find the markets and then come back and find something to fit them.
And thousands of those markets exist. So if Obama were to say to me, how do we create jobs? I would say, let's be very proactive in figuring out what these markets of the future look like. Let's pick worldwide markets, like the one I just mentioned, And not just one, let's go grand. Let's pick 1,000 of them and come up with the right product concepts, put them through our venture infrastructure, which has a 10%, 11% success rate, make them successful, and really put these dollars to work more effectively.
Okay, you're hired, okay? You get a call tomorrow. John?
God is in the details, though, in the sense that a lot of governments have tried to be in the business of picking winners, and they haven't been very successful. The apocryphal case is supercomputers in Japan. You get all these technocratic, well-trained Tokyo University government officials in MITI who say, hey, it's supercomputers, and then billions, tens of billions of dollars go down the drain. So I think the question of horizons and where to focus energy is also related to the question of stewardship, which works differently at a societal level because it's not about a board and an executive team. It really is about an alignment of public, private, NGO, and civil society, and bottom up as well as top down, achieving alignment and some degree of consensus about what these emerging arenas might be, bearing in mind that you need some degree of coordination, which is not what I would call industrial policy in the old sense, but coordination nonetheless, because the waves of innovation we're talking about are not necessarily amenable to 10, $5 million Sand Hill Road kind of venture investments or $50 million kind of venture investments. If you're looking at, pick any arena of social innovation, or you look at synthetic biology, which is a field that didn't exist a half a dozen years ago. Right? So you need some degree of critical mass, but you also need a new set of understandings about how to set this agenda, because otherwise what you may get are great ideas that are kind of gold-plated but don't lead necessarily to the future.